Hi, everybody. Um, it's a pretty fun time of year when you get an opportunity to listen to Coach Carey and his players and the success, obviously, the football team has had. A lot of the other fall sports are kind of amping up for MAC championships, and we get an opportunity in a very short amount of time to step on the hardwood. So it's an exciting time of year, I think, when you talk about NIU athletics in general. I want to take this opportunity to really thank Sean and Deborah for the opportunity to lead this program once again. As Donna mentioned, this is year 3 for me. And there's not a day that goes by and there's not a time that goes by that I don't feel like NIU women's basketball is going to continue to be relevant on the big stage. I think coming off of last year's MAC championship run really put us in a position to hopefully continue that momentum. So I want to thank them for the opportunity to lead this program. We've been on the court now consistently for about 4 weeks, and I know that the players are excited to put on a uniform and play against somebody else, and that opportunity will present itself in less than a week. When I look at this year's squad, I think it has great balance. I think it has great returning players that were very key in our run last year, and I think it has some really great young kids. When we start by looking at our 4 seniors, Georgia Brining, Jazz Harris, Renee Sladek, and Kelly Smith. A lot of different paths have led them to their senior year. But if you look at someone like Kelly Smith, somebody who's been a 4-year starter, has been a significant piece to the puzzle even before I got here, I really expect her to have a great year. She's somebody that plays the center position, and she's not necessarily got the stature that you would think a center does, but within our offense especially, I think she fits the mold as far as somebody who can be really aggressive and get a lot done in the bottom half of the lane. So I expect Kelly to continue from a leadership standpoint on the court and how hard she works to really teach young kids what that's like. Our junior class obviously has some familiar faces, especially with Michaela Voigt and Courtney Woods, 2 guards that have put a lot of points on the board since the first time they stepped on campus. Courtney has really proven herself as our returning leading scorer and also probably one of the best shooters in the MAC, to be somebody that teams are going to have to reckon with as far as her ability to score the basketball. And I would say Michaela is probably our best all-around player as far as being fundamentally sound. She obviously can shoot the basketball. She will likely have the task of trying to guard the opposition's best guard. And really somebody we depend on from a floor general standpoint to kind of get everybody on the same page. So those 2, obviously, it's great to have them back. A lot of experience returns there. And then the other junior that we have is Nicole Orr. Nicole sat out last year. She was transferred from Butler. Has kind of fought through some injuries really her entire career. But again, somebody who is a very versatile player, can play a multitude of positions, and can do a lot of things for us. So I think she fits well into our system. The sophomore class is a very talented group. John A. Poison comes off a freshman campaign where she was on the all-MAC freshman team, was kind of that instant energy person off the bench for us as far as scoring the basketball. I think the biggest growth we see with John A. is, again, as a sophomore as opposed to a freshman. She's been through it. She has a much better understanding of expectations, and the other aspects of her game have grown and gotten a lot more solidified than just her ability to score the basketball, although that's obviously what people will remember. Allie May is a redshirt sophomore. Many of you may not even remember her because, again, just when she has gotten going in the last couple of years, she's been hit by injury. Last year she broke her hand early December, right when she was getting in a position to really be a significant player in the rotation. But she's back, she's healthy, she's in great shape, and again, she has some great length at that forward position for us where we're maybe not quite as deep. Maya Starks will play the point for us a lot more this year. Again, that growth between your freshman and sophomore year is probably the biggest jump for most players, just because there are no more surprises necessarily in the expectation. I think Maya has really embraced what we need from her. She is a pass-first point guard. Not that she doesn't have the ability to score the basketball, but she's really quick, does a great job of seeing the floor and handles the basketball and understands the scores around her. So I think she's really embraced that role and will find herself in a position to play significant minutes for us. Abby Wollicott, again, somebody as a freshman who got an opportunity to get on the floor. And I heard Rod say it before, you can't replicate game minutes. So Abby was able to get on the floor in some key situations during the year, which are great for her growth at that center position. And then redshirt freshman, Paulina Castro. Anybody who has followed us in the last year knows Paulina's story. But if you came to practice and saw her and what she's able to do now, you definitely would not know that she's somebody in the last 6 to 7 months who has battled and fought and won against cancer. So she has taught us all a ton of great life lessons, much bigger than basketball. But we're reminded of that every day. So to have the opportunity to have Paulina back on the floor has just been amazing. Then on to our freshman class, and I want you to remember these names because there's going to be times where you're going to be wowed by them. Now, there may be times that they also make me want to pull my hair out, but we do have some pretty dynamic freshmen. The first one is Gabby Nikitinaite, say that 5 times, a guard from England who, again, is a really dynamic player. She sees the floor really well. She's got a little bit of flair to her game. Definitely can shoot the basketball. And again, as international players, and when they come to the States and the three-point line is closer than they're used to, you will see her with the ability to really stretch defenses because she can shoot it from deep. A bigger guard, so she does a great job of using her size and her strength as an asset on both ends of the floor. So as she continues to get more and more comfortable, it's going to be tough to keep her off the floor. Another freshman, Erin Hodges, another guard that is a great athlete, really good in the open court, is really tough to stop going to the rim. And with these freshmen, we see on a day-to-day basis, the more and more comfortable they get within the offense especially, the more dynamic they can be because they have a much better understanding of not just what they can do, but what the people around them can do. And then our last freshman is Riley Blackwell. Riley's a 6'1" forward from Indiana. Again, long, versatile. She'll play that 4 position for us, which means she'll have the ability to step outside the three-point line. Loves to shoot the 3, has been really efficient at doing it. And again, adds an element to some length that is much needed at that position. I think one of the most exciting things about this group, and when I stood up here, 3 years ago, the 2 things that I thought were going to be really important for us to establish consistency and culture is that we needed to be in a position to be in really good shape and to be really unselfish. If we were going to be successful in doing what we wanted to do, again, especially on the offensive end, we needed to make sure that we were going to be able to wear people out and be in good shape, and we needed to share the basketball. Those things haven't changed. I think those were 2 keys for us last year as far as the success that we had and the success that we hope to continue to have. And I think this group really embraces that and embodies those 2 things as well. We will get a chance to put a uniform on for the first time on Saturday in an exhibition game against Benedictine at 1 o'clock. That will be the first opportunity for the public to watch us play. And then we open up the following Friday at Eastern Illinois. That will be our regular season opener. Again, a familiar opponent, somebody that will be a great opponent for us to kick things off. Our non-conference schedule is kind of all over the map. It adds some great challenges, a lot of familiar opponents in Eastern and Western Illinois and Bradley and Loyola, a lot of those household names. And then we'll get an opportunity to go to the University of Iowa, which will be a great challenge for us. And then we're playing in 2 essentially mid-major tournaments, one over Thanksgiving at the University of San Antonio, where we'll play UTSA and who else do we play? Lamar, yes, thank you. And then hopefully right before Christmas, we're going to go to a tournament in Puerto Rico and get an opportunity to play Sacramento State and Albany. So again, that will give us a little bit of a flavor of where we're at from a national standpoint, some mid-major schools that we're not extremely familiar with, as well as them not being familiar with us. So a good gauge on some teams across the country. I would just like to thank everybody for their support and your coverage of women's basketball. I think it's going to be a really exciting winter as far as Husky basketball is concerned for both teams in the convo. As we wrap up the fall and continue to have success there, the opportunity to get basketball in full swing will be right around the corner. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Coach, you guys lost Allie. How well set up do you think you are for another run?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. You know, everybody wants to know what the era is going to be like without Allie Lehman, and it is going to be different. You know, you don't replace with one person a player like Allie. Our fundamental principles, especially offensively, will remain consistent. We will look to get up and down the floor. We will look to score the basketball, hopefully in a short amount of time, and put points on the board. The way we do it will be a little bit different without being able to just give Allie the ball and say, go score or find your teammates. So John McGinty's done a great job of tweaking our offense a little bit in making sure that we're getting those opportunities for those other scorers to have the ability to score the basketball. But I think we'll be a lot deeper. I think that will help. We'll have a lot more of a rotation in the guard court especially. So hopefully we can continue to wear teams out, but it will look a little bit different without Allie on the floor for sure. You know, Nicole is, again, a great fit for our system because she's a long, athletic, somebody who can put the ball on the floor, get to the rim, can stretch the defense and shoot the three. So those things in and of themselves are always good for what we're trying to do on the floor. Because she can play multiple positions, I think we have yet to figure out exactly where she fits the best. But it does give us some options if we want to go a little bit smaller to play her at the 4 or obviously play her at the guard position if we're a little bit longer.
You guys got a little taste of some postseason success last year. How beneficial is that in terms of kind of building the culture and expectations for this year and future groups?
Yeah, I think that's invaluable. You know, when you put your players in a position to be so close for the opportunity for a MAC championship and then ultimately the opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament, you can't just talk about that. They feel it, and they feel it every day. There would be no hesitation if you asked any of the players what our goals were this year. They would say to win the MAC. And I think they can say that and they can truly believe it because they were close enough to have that opportunity to get that done last year. So I think those things really are a way to elevate your program that you have to get to if you expect to take that next step.
Do you think we should expect to see a bigger role from Abby off the bench?
You know, I think Abby, the great thing about Abby is she adds a dynamic to this team that we're not very deep at. You know, she has good size, good strength. She can do her damage in the bottom half of the lane. So for that reason, I think she'll have an opportunity to play because she can add an element that is not something that we have a lot of.
Do you think she's changed her game?
I think all these guys, their games continue to evolve. You know, I've been really pleased with the offseason. I think all of the players have really elevated themselves individually, which means collectively we should be in a good position, and Abby is no different.
You mentioned Paulina. Just tell me, I guess, how she's looked basketball-wise since coming back.
You know, I don't know if any of us are really going to be able to tell what effects necessarily last year had on her. I can tell you that she's the kid that has a smile on her face, works extremely hard, and has really continued to get better and better physically. How that plays out this year as far as playing time, I don't really know. But I tell you what, she has embraced anything she is able to do for us as a team, whether that's on the bench, but in practice, nobody's more vocal, nobody's having more fun, and I think it's easy to see what that kind of rejuvenated life brings to practice every day.
Coach, you have, I think, 4 players from Illinois and then even a handful more from, just the area states around here. How big of an emphasis is it for you to, recruit close to home, recruit close to NIU?
I think that's crucial for any program, and especially us. I think you have to take care of things in your backyard and recruit your area really hard because you don't want great players to leave and then play for somebody else. So I think your recruiting always has to start there. We do have some diversity on the roster, but that's not necessarily intentional. It's more need-based in what kind of response we get from different people, but we will always try to recruit locally first. You know, it is a little bit different, obviously, with international players. You're basing your opinions a lot more on film than you are getting an opportunity to see her in person. But we did have a lot of film, and the more we saw, the more we liked. And then you get an opportunity to bring them to campus and really get a better feel for what are they looking for, and are they a good fit for the program. I can tell you Gabby is absolutely a joy to coach. She's coachable, she's humble, and she's talented, so that's a great combination.
Last season, you kind of sort of stuck with a 7-player rotation. Will we see something different this year?
I would like to have more than a 7-player rotation, you know, and I think if we stay healthy, there's no reason to believe that that won't happen. You know, I mentioned the dynamics, especially of our freshman class, and really the evolution of some of those younger kids that have gotten a ton better as they continue to evolve in their game. So, again, if we stay healthy, I think that we will be in a situation where we can be deeper, and that should, in fact, help us. Even if it doesn't help us a ton in November, it definitely should help us in late February and March.
With that being said, is there any health concerns heading into the season?
No, knock on wood, we're okay. You know, going into it, I don't think there's been anything really unexpected. We do have some kids that are battling some kind of chronic things, but nothing that maybe we didn't foresee going into it. I do want to introduce my staff since they did show up, any of you who don't know them. John McGinty, Adam Tandez, Maria Kaza, Quinn Rear, and Mariah Bronner-Henley. Some new faces, some returning faces, but again, a group that's really fun to work with, smart, passionate about what we're trying to do, and they do a great job with the players, so I did want to at least recognize them.